Hey Sherry, I know right now you are in the frustrating position of reading my book in 10-page installments, but right now I am in the frustrating position of writing my book in 10-page installments. I know right now for you it's fast-paced and exciting, it's like jailbreak, but for me it's like, jailbreak. It's hard to write action sequences for me, and it's hard to write like middle sections of novels for me. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Outlining books. I know you have an idea for how you want to start a book, which I think is a really great idea, and what I would suggest to you is writing a detailed outline. Every writer works differently. Like, some people I know don't like working with outlines, they just start and go and somehow turn out books, but I can't do that. I need an outline, I need to write in a linear fashion, I can't write out of sequence, because if I skip things, the jailbreaks would never get written. So yeah, let's talk about outlining. So when I come up with an idea for a book and I want to write an outline for it, the first thing I start with is the ending. Because I am not good at writing endings. There are a lot of different outlining methods that are pretty commonly known, and if you Google novel outlining method, you'll come up with a couple of them. One of them is the Snowflake Method, which has never really worked out for me because it kind of forgoes the choose your ending part, but maybe it'll work out for you. The idea behind the Snowflake method of outlining is that you want to start small and then build up like a frozen fractal. So on the first day that you're outlining your novel with the Snowflake method, you'll come up with a one-sentence summary of your novel. And if you cannot come up with a one-sentence summary of your novel, it is probably not a high-concept novel, which I'm going to talk about later because that's its own can of worms. And then on the second day, you'll expand on that and write a one-paragraph summary. Then on the next day, you'll expand each sentence of the one-paragraph summary into its own paragraph, and eventually, by elaborating, that way you'll have like a full summary of what happens in the novel. Another way you can outline novels, and this works a little better for me, I've done it a couple times, is a kind of stream of consciousness way, where the method that was recommended to me was opening a Word document, beginning the number notation, and then writing like a story beat, like just a description of a scene that you wanted to happen. Hitting enter, writing the next scene, and keep going like that, just kind of like getting it all down into a list. The little story beats could vary from a summary of the scene to just a bit of dialogue to an idea. I outlined my first NaNoWriMo novel that I completed that way, and it was really useful for me because I had 100 points, I think. I'm so bad at math, so I can't like 100 into 50,000, but anyway, there were like a given number of words I needed for each bullet point. It wasn't a great novel, but it was a complete novel. But my favorite method for outlining, and the one that I've used most frequently, is the critical scenes method, where you come up with a number of scenes critical to the story, and then after you've decided those like critical turning points for the story, filling in the blanks in between. And the scenes I usually start with are opening and closing scenes for each act of the story. I usually do 3-act stories, I think probably just as a holdover from my screenwriting training, but you can do like 5-act stories or whatever you want to do. So for example, in the story of mine that you're currently reading, which is actually a 5-act story now that I'm thinking about it, the first act begins with Geb showing Honora the storm and ends with her being captured by the guards. The second act begins with her being interrogated by Dinomi and ends with her being summoned by Atheos to the other temple. And can you tell I have a really good handle on this story? I hope I'm inspiring confidence in you. But then you can understand that once you have those critical scenes, the opening and closing for each act, you can kind of start to ask yourself how to get from point A to point B and add in details in the middle of the acts. And that's how I outline my stories. I hope that's helpful for you. I hope you can write that story you were telling me about, because I really want to read it. and I think that's the best reason to write stories, is to show them to people who want to read them. Scheri, I don't have anything else to tell you today except that the parrot across the hall learned how to make fire alarm noises.